Everything Everywhere All at Once. So, who better to present that film than a young Asian American actor? Soon to be actor.
I'm active.
Right now, director, who's already been directing his own films on campus. I present to you my wonderful student, and he's a comm major and minor in Women and Gender Studies, like another fine young man sitting there. So folks, here's Riley Hayden Legaspi Cosby.
Hi everyone. Oh, that is loud. Okay. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a great spring break. Thank you for making the walk from what's over there to over here now. I understand that you can be late, sometimes be lazy and be like, I don't want to go here for the... So I just thank you for being here for my presentation. Like I said, Professor Rosh said, this is about everything everywhere all at once, Asian representation in cinema, but we're also going to reflect on the past of Asian representation as well as the future. But before we start, I want to give a quick introduction. Although you guys already heard that I'm a communications major, I'm a sophomore and a women and gender studies minor. I want to tell you about my film experience because I don't just like watching movies, but I love making movies. I've been making movies for like 4 years. I've made 12 short films. This one on the bottom is number 13. I'm working on it. And I've been to a couple film festivals, but I wanted to humble myself, so I have not won a festival yet. We're working on it. We're working on it. But I wanted to preface that because within my context of like I watch a lot of movies and I make a lot of movies. So when I sat down to see Everything Everywhere All at Once in theaters, when I heard about it, it was such a honest feeling, such a feeling of representation I don't really feel in most cinema. And especially as an Asian American, you're going to hear a lot of themes about identity in this movie. And I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of myself to kind of show that. But going on to Everything Everywhere All at Once, in order to reflect on its story, I think what's best is we show the history of Asian representation in Hollywood. So I know in our chapter we were reading through about the discriminatory acts against Asian Americans, especially in Hollywood and Broadway, and that is very justified and valid, but my presentation is going to be more on the financial and critical success of the Asian American cinema landscape. So I broke it up into 3 films, 3 very distinct films about like generations of Asian cinematography. And this starts off with the 1970 film Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, if you guys know who Bruce Lee is. This is the spark of when Asian actors and Asian filmmakers are starting to make money off of martial arts films. And they're significantly impacting the culture in America as well. If you look into Black Panther groups, you're going to see that a lot of they're big fans of movies like Enter the Dragon and martial arts genre in general. And that kind of led to them creating a subgenre called blaxploitation, which is almost like a play on the martial arts but with black actors. So it's very cool that these movies started a wave of creativity in America. So that was the 70s and 80s. 10 years later, we got it's called the second Hong Kong wave of filmmakers. And this is less of a financial success, but more of a critical success. So you're getting filmmakers like Wong Kar-wai, who is a very important filmmaker in the Asian landscape. Whoops. And he made the film Chungking Express. It's gone on to say that Martin Scorsese has said this is one of his favorite films of all time. So this is when we're starting to see more real Asian stories and more influence in American Hollywood. And then finally, we're up to the modern day. It's safe to say that we live in a very politically correct climate, and we live in a climate where, although things are bad, there are great positives. For example, with Crazy Rich Asians, it was the highest grossing box office movie that had an Asian lead cast. And we'll see when I talk about the cast of this film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, how that kind of inspired them to make this movie. So the Daniels, the directors of this film, when they were creating the story for Everything Everywhere All at Once, they kind of took those movies and incorporated them into this whole film. So you're going to see martial arts action from the martial arts era. You're going to see deep existentialist creativity from the Wong Kar-wai second generation of Hong Kong filmmakers. And you're going to see, which I think is the most important part of Crazy Rich Asian storytelling, is the generational trauma of not only what it's like to have a mother who immigrated from, let's say, China to America, but also their children who were born in America, and what does that truly mean to be anywhere. And you see that a lot in Crazy Rich Asians, and you're going to see more of that in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So now that's the story side of it. Let's go into the visual side, because I'm a very visual person, and I think breaking down that it's not only story that's being represented, it's visual too. So this is what I'm going to be talking about a little bit more about Wong Kar-wai. I'm going to be talking about a lot of camera stuff, so bear with me. If I go too fast, just let me know. This is Wong Kar-wai. He directed amazing films, and Everything Everywhere All at Once takes a lot of visual inspiration from it. So this first example is from Fallen Angels in 1995, and Wong Kar-wai was notoriously known for color grading his films to look otherworldly. For example, this picture up here of these two people on the motorbike, that highway is just a beam of orange or like yellow fluorescent light. So he was known for just changing the color to green. And you see that in Everything Everywhere All at Once. You're going to see that almost like rough grade and that rough dream-like essence that Wong Kar-wai loved to promote. Fun fact, 4 years after Fallen Angels came out, a small film called The Matrix came out, which also had that little green tint. So Wong Kar-wai is very inspirational to many filmmakers, and he's one of the most, like I said, most prolific filmmakers of all time. Another technique that is noticeable in his career is a process called step printing. And like I said, this is going to be a lot of technical jargon, so I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. You guys know like how video cameras are essentially just taking pictures really fast, right? Does that kind of make sense? The idea is those clicks, the gaps in between the clicks are timed. So if the faster the camera is taking pictures, the smoother the shot's going to be. So what Wong Kar-wai would used to do is he would set up a camera, and he would have his actors, and here in Chungking Express, move at extremely slow speeds to mimic their actions while everyone else ran around them to create this blurry dream-like sequence. Fun fact, that frame took an hour to film. It was insane. And so you see that they do that in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So when you see that, you just have a nice little tidbit of knowledge. It creates this otherworldly feeling that Wong Kar-wai was notoriously known for. Now that we're done with the visual side, I'd also like to talk about the casting and how that's super impactful. And before Professor Roche talks about Michelle Yeoh, I'd like to talk about another actor, Ki-hye Kwan. Casting representation is so important, and especially like films about Asian Americans. And so which better to talk about Ki-hye Kwan's journey is kind of reflected into this movie. So if you didn't know, Ki-hye Kwan was a child actor. He was in the Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. He played Short Round, which he's right there, and he was in the Goonies. He played Data, and I absolutely love those movies. But as he grew older, he seemed to recognize and feel that he wasn't getting roles. So he asked his agent, and his agent essentially said, Asians cannot lead in Hollywood and be a success. So heartbroken, he quit. He retired, and he went on to be a stunt worker. So he worked on movies like Rush Hour and the X-Men movies, just as a stunt double, and just supervising action movies. This is where Crazy Rich Asians comes back. Since that was the highest grossing film, and kind of proved that Asian Americans can lead and be in a profitable film, he decides to start acting again. And the first call he got back was for Everything Everywhere All at Once, where he won the Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars in 2023. His character, Waymond, in the film is such a breath of fresh air, not only from like a racial standpoint, but by a masculine standpoint. You're going to see Waymond, Kea Kwan's character, very timid. It's almost like the polar opposite of what we find and define as a masculine man, and how we see men as maybe they can be vulnerable, maybe they can have very expressive feelings, but also be strong in their own way. And if you keep an eye on that, it's very fun arc to watch. All right, Professor Raj, up to you.
I'm going to keep this really short because I want you to be able to see some of the film. But since this is International Women's History Month, we have to talk a little bit about this aspect of how Asian American women have been represented in film. Some years ago, let's see now, about 10 years ago, I wrote an article which I submitted to the top film journal in this country in transnational feminist theory, which is Smith College Journal, the Smith College Journal Meridians. And I never thought, I was just starting out, as Dr. Stassinos will know, I was just starting out as an assistant professor on this campus. I thought, am I overreaching myself, sending it to the top journal in this country? Then I thought, hang it, I'll just send it. So I sent it, and it came right back, saying you need to make these revisions. That was kind of disheartening, and I have to say this because the fact that you have not won an award yet means nothing. Soon we'll be celebrating your award. Because after I had sent in the revisions, folks, it was published. No more revisions. And then, to my utter disbelief, they contacted me 2 years ago, saying, Professor Rajgopal, your article is one of the best articles in our journal of the last 20 years.
Wow.
And it's only existed for 20 years.
Yay.
Thank you. So they published a best of 20 years, and my article is in it. And what I'm happy to say is this article, and that's why it's relevant to what we're talking about now, is this article is on the representation of Asian women in literature and cinema in the West over the past century. And of course, as you can imagine, it's been a very popular article with people writing to me from Japan and China and all over the world saying, you know, will you be my advisor for such and such, whatever project. So I'm so happy about that, folks. And I just started out as just a young Asian woman who had never dreamt that her work would become so appreciated in the West. So, folks, we've got to make these choices, especially those of us who are women of color or men of color. And I'm now going to hand it over again to Riley, who's going to take us into the intricacies of the film. And once again, a big welcome to all of you who are here, and I hope you all grabbed a bite to eat as well. Yeah. Thank you. Our department chair, Dr. Elizabeth Stassinos.
One more time for Professor Raj, please. Thank you for letting me host this event. That was really cool. I did not expect to host this event. I'm going to be completely honest. Professor Raj asked me to do this, and I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, going into especially Asian American women in general, Michelle Yeoh's story is incredible if you watch a video on it. Michelle Yeoh came from China, and she was a ballerina dancer. And she was exquisite and incredible dancer, but she couldn't get any jobs there. So what she did was she started to do martial arts, and she has this funny interview where she goes, yeah, I realized that martial arts is just like ballerina dancing, because you just have to practice like some poses and that's it. And she started working in Hollywood, and it just becomes this beautiful journey of representation, and how, like, I think she said, Jackie Chan says that Michelle Yeoh is the only woman Jackie Chan fears. Because Michelle Yeoh is extremely amazing. She has been thrown off of a bus. She has been like, she used to be a stunt woman. She used to legitimately do things that would harm her permanently for the sake of film. So just for her to like make a film like this is just telling of her character and how amazing she is in this movie. You'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much for me. That's pretty much it for me. I would like to say we threw a lot of information at you at this film, and you don't have to worry about all the little pieces of information I said. It's just mundane, fun tidbits. This film isn't this like 3-hour-long drama piece where you're just like, you know, the movies you watch in class sometimes, and you're like, oh, this is a drag. It's a fun movie. It's long, and I just want you guys to have fun with it. If you want to look at one little thing, if you're a little confused, there's going to be a lot of bagels in this movie, and there's going to be a lot of googly eyes in this movie. The bagels kind of represent depression and longing, and the googly eye kind of represents optimism. If there's one little takeaway from this presentation, just take away that, and just enjoy the movie. It's going to be a fun time. And if you guys have to leave, I understand. You guys have other things to do. But if you have your own time, go and watch the movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So without further ado, Everything Everywhere All at Once.